Chapter 24, Preserving Prints. For the tracking instructor or the naturalist who is studying a species, it is often a requirement to be able to preserve a specimen of a print. In this chapter, I will outline the usual method. Our methods can also be used to preserve the information from a print. See Chapter 25 and the section on digital photography. Plaster of Paris is widely available from art shops as well as the usual suppliers such as pharmacists and builders merchants. The best plaster is that used by dentists, fine Italian plaster. In any case, care must be taken that the plaster is absolutely fresh and that it is kept in an airtight container. Exposure to the air will render it stale so that it will not set readily when mixed with water. The technique. When a track has been found, carefully remove any loose material, whether vegetation or debris, that may be lying across it, but take great care not to mark the print itself. Forceps or photographer's blower brush are useful at this stage. Figure 72-1. If the track is shallow or on sloping ground, it will be necessary first to build a wall or embankment around the mark with twigs or mud, or even strips of cardboard, so as to keep the plaster on track while it is in a liquid form. Pour some water into a container and sift the plaster into it, breaking up any lumps as much as possible. Figure 72-2. Stir constantly and keep adding plaster or water until the mixture is the consistency of thick cream and can just be poured out of the container. The quantity of the mixture required will vary with the size of the print, but it is better to make too much than too little. Tap the container on the ground with a knife or to get rid of the air bubbles. Pour the mixture gently into the crevices of the print, figure 72-3, and to the sides of the print, taking care to avoid air bubbles. Be sure that the cast is thick enough by adding successive layers of the mixture, otherwise it will break in transit. Drying time for the cast will vary according to atmospheric conditions and the dampness of the ground itself. A pinch of salt added to the mixture usually has the effect of making the cast dry more quickly and of rendering its composition stronger. Monitor drying by gentle finger pressure, figure 72-4. It always takes between 15 and 30 minutes to set, depending on how much water was mixed with the plaster. When the cast is nearly dry, scratch on the back of it the place, date, your name, and the name of the quarry or some identification. At the same time, make a record in your notebook of all details in connection with the print, type of ground, weather conditions, age of track, quarry's identity, its age, sex, and any other relevant information. When the cast is dry, cut out the soil around the plaster and remove completely. Figure 72-5. Pull back the supporting card, wash off all mud and earth, and pack carefully in newspaper for transit. If it is necessary to move the cast before it has set completely, leave any debris attached to it and remove it later. It can be hardened by baking it slowly. Take care, however, not to apply too high heat, as the cast will be apt to crumble. Be particularly careful to wash out the mixing container as soon as the mixture has been poured out onto the print, otherwise what is left will harden and be difficult to remove. Before the plaster cast is quite set, a loop of string or wire can be inserted into it at the back so that the cast can be subsequently hung up. If casts are to be kept in good condition for any length of time, they should be stored in a flat box. Bubble wrap underneath them can help to prevent movement. What you have at the moment is a cast of a foot, figure 72-6, which is very useful for making sign on the age stands, chapter 14. To produce a replica of the sign, gently press the cast into plasticine. This gives a clean impression of the sign. To make a plaster cast representation of the original sign as a more permanent record than the plasticine, build a plasticine embankment around the base of your original cast. Next, paint the face of the cast with a soap solution. Mix up some more plaster and pour it into the embankment. When the plaster is set, you can gently pry the two casts apart after removing the embankment. If this proves too difficult, you may have to break the original cast in order to preserve the new positive cast. The first cast you made, the negative, can be used as a tool with your age stand. By pressing the cast into your age stand or tracking lanes, you can make an impression on the original sign. This can be observed to note the aging process, allowing you to record the sign's deterioration over time. When you do this, make sure that the weather conditions are favorable, that it is not too wet.